There is also this. U.S. bases, U.S. troops at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq have come under attack once again. This marks the 24th time the base has been a target since October 17th, and the 102nd attack on our troops in Iraq and Syria. Since then, thankfully, the rockets missed and its target, and no one was hurt.
But at the same time, Houthi rebels from Yemen are stepping up attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea, and that is having an impact that can be felt right here at home. The furniture company IKEA says it expects delays and availability issues with some of its products after having to divert their ships in the region. Florida Congressman and Iraq War veteran Cory Mills joins us now. Congressman, great to see you as always. How come the most powerful navies in the world, including our Navy, are demonstrating weakness against a bunch of Houthi rebels, a ragtag group, I would argue, that are somehow able to disrupt commerce for the 330 million people that live right here in the United States?
Well, Todd, let me go ahead and first talk about the fact of how these are all interlinked, even from what Trey was talking about on the ground there in Israel. As we know, whether it's Hezbollah, who is headed up by Hassan Nasrallah, whether it is Hamas, whether it's the Houthis, these are all Iranian-backed militia groups, the same as Kataib Hezbollah and Hashd al-Shaabi in Iraq. These are all looking at the weakness which invites the aggression, and that's what Joe Biden has brought to the stage. Whenever President Trump was in office, we had actually listed the Houthi rebels as a terrorist organization. It was the Biden administration who took them off of this list, even though we knew that prior to pulling out of the JCPOA, that failed Iran nuclear agreement, that the Iranian regime was actually sending mid-range ballistic missiles to back then try and go ahead and disrupt Saudi Aramco and oil trade. Now they've simply moved it over to the commercial space so they can try and block any type of commerce that comes in and out of the Red Sea, but also disrupt things that are going through the Persian Gulf, the Black Sea, and all the other areas. So what we need to be looking at is, why did the Biden administration actually remove this Houthi terrorist organization, who we know is backed by Iran, from the terrorist organization to begin with? Now, I can remember in 2011, I used to do a anti-piracy operation outside of Bab el-Mandeb, which back then the threat was Somali pirate ships that were actually being launched that would disrupt things like the Maersk Alabama. And so now what we're seeing is that this is a direct attack against commerce, and this is really a bigger thing. If you look at that China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea geopolitical alignment, their goal overall has always been to impact the U.S. dollar as global currency while simultaneously cutting off Western Hemisphere supply chain. That's why they wanted to expand the Eurasian border, take Africa, Oceania, and also, even in our own Western Hemisphere, start utilizing economic coercion on Panama and Honduras to control the canals. And so this administration, the National Security Council, and the NSA should have already had predicted that this was going to occur and had something in place. But as we've seen, whether it be Afghanistan in 21 or whether it be Israel in 23, this administration has no answers.
Yeah, and the response has been this coalition of 10 countries that the U.S. is leading. And one can make an argument that that's a defensive strategy when there is need for an offensive strategy at this time, given the fact that it's affecting international commerce. So that's what's going on in the Red Sea. There's also what's going on with these rocket attacks in Iraq and Syria. We're now at 102. This has happened 102 times with really minimal response from the Biden administration. Is that because the assessment is, well, we're intercepting these attacks, so this is going to be the new normal, really no big deal here? Is that the thinking here, and would you agree with that?
Well, first off, I never agree with continuing to put our troops and Americans at risk without any actual tangible return. I can't define what the U.S. national security mission is at this time in Iraq. I don't actually understand why we've continued to remain with troops. I had actually voted to remove troops out of Syria under the AUMF, which I think is an abdication of our Article 1 duties. Look, the bottom line is that unless you look at what the actual root cause is, unless you understand the fact that not until Joe Biden came into office did we see this level of attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq, we have to understand that this is because they do not not fear the Biden administration. They know there is no retaliation, there is no repercussions to this, and so they're going to continue to do this until we actually take either an action to thwart their efforts, to counter their efforts, or to remove our troops from the harm's way.
Common theme in both of those answers, weakness from the Biden administration. But when he's talking about Trump, he becomes the fake tough guy. He spoke out for the first time about the Colorado Supreme Court decision banning Trump from the ballot. Here's what he said.
Trump an insurrectionist, sir?
Well, I think certainly it's self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero.
Okay, Mr. President, then why didn't your own henchman, Jack Smith, charge Donald Trump with insurrection?
Look, the bottom line is that at no point has any court actually charged and or labeled this as an insurrection, an unarmed insurrection. At that, and I think as the tapes have come forward, you've seen where many of them have walked through with actual support of the Capitol Police in some regards. Look, the bottom line is if anyone should be charged with anything, it should be Joe Biden for the invasion of our southern border. Maybe someone should start filing suit in some of the courts to actually get him for what is an actual insurrection that's taking over our country and violating our sovereignty. Look, the Supreme Court will certainly overrule this. There's no reason why they shouldn't. It's a direct violation and attack on our First Amendment rights for political free speech. You know, they're trying to go forward, as was Jack Smith under the USC 18 Section 231. He's actually trying to state that free political speech can be criminalized, not to mention their distortion of the 14th Amendment, whereby they're trying to reuse this in Colorado to remove him. This is blue states realizing that President Trump is ahead in all the polls. He's ahead in all the key swing states. He's leading the Republican Party by 50 and 60 points in most of the actual states, and they want to go after and utilize political interference and political meddling to try and ruin Donald Trump's chance and the American people's civic rights to be able to vote him into presidency in 2024.
Maybe Joe Biden should also not use phrases like self-evident, you know. Maybe keep that one out of the lexicon because, you know, it's self-evident that somebody who's a public servant for 50 years maybe shouldn't own all those homes. But we digress. Cory Mills, thank you very much, sir.
Congressman. Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
Check
Todd.
this out.
Thanks, Carly.